हेलो दोस्तों, दिस इज भारत कुमार एंड यू आर वाचिंग माय चैनल निर्मल इन्फो अपडेट्स।
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left.
For the first time since the Hong Kong protests broke out last year, India on Wednesday spoke out at the United Nations Human Rights Council and said the relevant parties should address the issues properly, seriously and objectively. This is being seen as a retaliatory step in terms of reputational cost to Beijing, after India inflicted economic cost to Beijing by banning Chinese mobile apps. The statement was delivered by India's permanent representative to the UN in Geneva, Bharat Kumar at the 44th session of the Human Rights Council being held between June 30th, July 21st in Geneva. Given the large Indian community that makes the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region of China its home, India has been keeping a close watch on recent developments, Chandra said, reading out from a prepared statement. We have heard several statements expressing concern on these developments. We hope the relevant parties will take into account these views and address them properly, seriously and objectively, Chandra said, while making a statement during presentation of annual report and all update on COVID-19 by the High Commissioner under Agenda 2. At a time when India and China are locked in a standoff along the contested line of actual control, LAC, in eastern Ladakh, the military is also keeping a strict vigil on the western front to deter Pakistan from fishing in troubled waters and prevent what could turn out to be a two-front conflict, officials and China watchers said on Wednesday. Reports prepared by the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Defense over the last decade have delved into the threat China and Pakistan could pose together. Pakistan was likely to step up hostilities if China were to launch offensive operations against India, a senior Indian Air Force (IAF) officer told the committee in 2014. He, however, stressed that China might not pose a collusive threat if hostilities were to break out between India and Pakistan. Officials tracking recent military developments in the region discounted the likelihood of India being drawn into a war on two fronts, but asserted that the armed forces were ready to ward off all threats. The possibility of a two-front war is unlikely. But we have to stay militarily prepared to tackle a combined threat from China and Pakistan, said an official who spoke on the condition of anonymity. The Indian military describes a collusive threat from China and Pakistan as contingency -3, a second official said, asking not to be identified. Contingency 1 and 2 refer to individual threats from the two countries. 3 nuclear-armed countries may not go to war at the same time. But China and Pakistan have deep-rooted military links. No matter how remote the possibility of a two-front threat, the Indian Armed Forces must stay prepared for any eventuality, said Lieutenant General D.S. Hegde, retired, a former Northern Army commander. The Army has moved around 30,000 soldiers, several squadrons of frontline tanks, additional artillery pieces and fully ready mechanized infantry squads to the Ladakh sector as part of its expanding efforts to strengthen its deployments in response to fortified Chinese military presence in the region, as reported by HT on Wednesday. Some of the assets have been drawn from formations in the western sector where favorable combat ratios exist to deal with Pakistan. The armed forces have raised their guard and are prepared to respond to any provocation or threatening actions along India's borders, a third official, who too did not want to be named, said. Recent encroachment by China in the Depsane Plains and Galwan Valley have strengthened the possibility of the People's Liberation Army (PLA) attempting to cut through northern Ladakh and link up with the Pakistani forces in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir in the war-torn area, strategic affairs expert Brahmachalani told HT. Tensions along LAC have flared up after an ugly India-China skirmish in Galwan Valley on June 15, which killed 20 Indian Army soldiers and an undisclosed number of PLA troops. According to India's assessment, China's casualties were twice the number on the Indian side. China's aggressive stance along LAC fits with a larger pattern of aggression, U.S. President Donald Trump said here on Wednesday. With regard to India and China, we're closely monitoring the situation. Both India and China have expressed a desire to de-escalate. We support a peaceful resolution of the current situation, White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany conveyed Trump's views on the current escalation along the LAC in eastern Ladakh. Trump further said that China's aggressive stance along the India-China border fits with a larger pattern of Chinese aggression in other parts of the world. These actions only confirm the true nature of the Chinese Communist Party, Trump was quoted as saying by McEnany. Earlier, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo had taken cognizance of China's aggression in the region and said that Chinese expansionism is a major challenge of all times. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison also referred to the India-China standoff and said that tensions over territorial claims are rising across the Indo-Pacific region, as we have seen recently on the disputed border between India and China, and the South China Sea, and the East China Sea. Earlier, on Sunday, protests were held in Tokyo, Japan's capital, seeking replacement of Chinese President Xi Jinping with a democratically elected responsible leader.
Yeah.